The Gulf of Mexico has always held deep mysteries, but one seemingly peaceful morning, the water suddenly turned a terrifying red. On deck, screams rang out, not from fear, but from a sight that stunned even the seasoned fishermen. Hundreds of thousands of red snappers emerged at the same time, rushing into the barrels and decks, forming a red waterfall of life, full of power and chaos. The sound of fins colliding, metal vibrating, sailor shoes sliding on the floor, all blend into a chaotic symphony, both magical and dangerous. That moment raises a surprising question. When nature suddenly turns into a giant living flood, will humans stand firm or be swept away by the terrible power of the ocean? Deep beneath the blue waters of the Gulf of Mexico lurks a fiery red fish called the red snapper. Adult fish weigh between 10 and 30 pounds, with long bodies, orange-yellow eyes, and bright red scales that make them stand out in any school of fish. They live at depths of 30 to 200 feet, preferring to take shelter around reefs, wrecks, and underwater structures, and usually travel quietly in small groups rather than forming huge schools. But that beauty is just the surface. Red snapper is one of the most valuable commercial fish in the United States, affectionately known to fishermen as red gold. A large individual can bring in hundreds of millions of dollars a year in revenue to coastal communities, making each catch a precious opportunity. However, it is rare enough to see hundreds of them at once, let alone thousands or tens of thousands. Massive schools of fish used to be so rare as to be virtually non-existent. But what is changing on the sea floor? That red snapper are beginning to gather on an unprecedented scale. Under the surface of the Gulf of Mexico, where the sunlight only has time to leave its last shimmering streaks before being swallowed by the deep sea, there is a long-standing mystery that has intrigued both the fishing community and ecologists. Why can tens of thousands of red snappers gather at the same time in a single spot? They say that when the red snapper began to gather, the sea seemed to change its character. The water became heavier, thicker, as if hiding a huge movement beneath. Then suddenly, a stream of red water like fire erupted from the depths. It was not a light, but tens of thousands of fish moving in unison, creating a slight vibration under the boat's feet, a feeling the fishermen called the heartbeat of the sea. From the deck, what they saw was not just a school of fish, but a living river flowing to the rhythm of ancient schooling instincts. Silvery red fish bodies twisted together, creating swirling patterns of motion as if the ocean were lit from within. Just below the surface of the water, schools of redfish swirled in circles. The water foamed like a small tornado rising. The angler just needed to keep the rhythm, release gently, jerk just enough, and retrieve the line at the right time. This is the golden moment. The bait is dropped at the right water level. The time falls right in the season when snappers are feeding hard, when they are ready to attack anything that moves in front of them. And the result was one of those rare sightings where 100,000 red snappers were brought on board in just one morning. The sound of fins flapping, fish plunging onto the steel deck, sailors shouting to each other, all blend into a chaotic symphony that only the most experienced fishermen have the chance to witness. As soon as the red snapper is hoisted onto the deck, the processing begins as a synchronized chain of operations. The fish is immediately put into a rapid chilling system that reduces the body temperature to near freezing in a matter of minutes, helping to maintain freshness, firmness, prevent dehydration, and preserve natural flavor. As the fish pile up, each group of crew members must work together to sort them. The largest snappers, with their firm muscles, are sent straight to deep ice boxes. The smaller ones are placed in separate boxes to avoid crushing. Each operation must be quick and precise, because even a few seconds of delay can cause the temperature on deck to lose its freshness. On deck, the seawater mixes with the fish scales to form a thin layer of slippery material, making movement difficult. Crew members must wear non-slip shoes and maintain absolute balance. Whenever a big wave crashes against the side of the boat, everyone must hold on to whatever is closest. Even a slip while pulling hard on the line can send them crashing to the deck. While the fish are still thick, the rods continue to work tirelessly. Crew members must constantly change bait, check hooks, and adjust the depth of the line to keep the bait at the right water level where the snappers are concentrated. Sometimes, just a few meters higher or lower, they would have fallen out of the golden spot of the fish. Under the boat, the snapper school still swirled like a red tornado. The pulls were so strong that the angler's hands were numb, the fishing line was shaking, and each fish, when brought up, always resisted fiercely. The force of an adult snapper can be surprisingly strong, causing many new sailors to spend several seasons at sea before getting used to the feeling. In the engine room, the captain monitored radar and current sensors to ensure the ship remained in the correct position over the snapper school's assembly point. Just drifting a little with the wind or current, the fish could disappear out of reach. It is a delicate combination of experience and technology that makes a big catch successful. When the number of fish pulled up near the permitted limit according to regulations, the captain signaled to slow down the fishing pace. American fishermen always have to comply with quotas to protect aquatic resources. Although the snapper school was still thick at the bottom of the boat, they were forced to stop, for the sea would only give them as much as they could take. As the sun began to sink below the horizon, the sea turning red with the sunset, the boat weighed down with the fruits of a rough morning. It was a rare moment of calm after hours of chaos, when the whole boat, after a day of facing the sea, could finally breathe out in contentment and gratitude. Next, each fish is sorted by size and quality, removing any that are young, scratched, or damaged. The fish is then washed with sterilized seawater and transferred to a state-of-the-art vacuum packaging line, where each bag or tray is vacuumed to prevent bacterial growth and extend shelf life. These shipments are carefully loaded into refrigerated containers, maintaining a stable temperature throughout the journey to coastal factories. At the factory, red snapper undergoes rigorous quality control by both the naked eye and machines. Each fish is weighed, sorted by size, standard, large, jumbo, and the color and firmness of the meat is evaluated. Some fish are processed directly into premium products, fresh fillets, frozen whole fish, sushi-grade cuts, or specialty packaging according to export requirements. In addition, steps such as deboning, cleaning organs, and microbiological treatment are carried out in automatic lines, ensuring hygiene and international food safety standards. Finally, red snapper is ready to export to the US, Japan, and Korea markets, where they appear in luxury restaurants, five-star hotels, and premium seafood parties. Each fish, from the moment it emerges from the water to the plate, goes through a chain of technology and human ingenuity, transforming a natural phenomenon into global economic value, where ocean, technology, and market blend in a never-ending cycle. Behind the moment 100,000 red snappers emerged from the water at the same time was not a miracle, but a sign of the silent changes taking place in the ocean. The giant shoals of red snapper that fishermen pull up today may be capturing the last images of a bygone era. Climate change is no longer a distant threat. It is happening right now, silently reshaping marine populations. Red snapper, a fish that prefers stable cold waters, must now adapt to an environment that is constantly changing. As water temperatures rise, natural predators like groupers and sharks decline dramatically, causing red snapper in some areas to overgrow, creating an ecological imbalance never seen before. And it's not just the disappearance of a fish. Behind every red snapper is an industry, an ecosystem, and thousands of coastal livelihoods at stake. The ocean changes, the seafood industry changes, and the future of the iconic red snapper of the Gulf of Mexico is now uncertain, full of uncertainty, where each fishing season is no longer just a number, but a story of survival, the environment, and people. We can only hope that the ocean will retain treasures like the red snapper. But no one can predict the future. Subscribe to the channel to continue exploring the deep secrets of the ocean and the ecological stories that are changing our world. More than 400 miles north of Alaska, where the ocean meets the permafrost, lies the world of the snow crab, a tiny but resilient creature that lives in temperatures of just 0 to 4 degrees Celsius, under thick ice and pressure enough to crush thin steel. They move slowly on the cold sand, their slender claws searching for food in the eternal darkness. Not as big as king crabs, but snow crabs have a graceful appearance with a light brown shell that turns bright orange when cooked and white meat as sweet as snow, a seafood dish sought after around the world. Each female incubates thousands of eggs for more than a year in cold water. The larvae drift hundreds of miles with the ocean currents and then dive to the deep, where they mature and continue their harsh life cycle. As a vital link in the food chain, snow crabs keep the entire Bering Sea ecosystem in balance. When they decline, the ocean suffers. From the polar ice caps to the fine dining table, the snow crab has long been a symbol of harmony between nature and humanity. And when that fragile link breaks, the entire chain collapses faster than anyone can realize. In the early 2000s, the Bering Sea entered a golden age of snow crab. Boats were full, prices were stable, and everyone believed the sea would never dry up. In Alaska, crab season is a communal rhythm that brings prosperity. The U.S. and Russia account for 80% of the world's supply, and snow crab has become a symbol of high-class cuisine in Japan, Korea, and the U.S. In 2021, the U.S. imported more than 35 million pounds of Russian crab, worth $700 million. The supply chain worked perfectly. Alaska controlled sustainability, and Russia accelerated its exploitation, quickly becoming the market leader. Crab prices soared, bringing in billions of dollars. But then, climate change warmed the waters, changed ocean currents, and the crabs disappeared, starting a chain reaction of natural and man-made collapses. As winter blankets Alaska, snow crab boats leave port. While much of the United States is peacefully blanketed in snow, out there in the middle of the Bering Sea, a real fight for survival begins. This is where humans face one of the most extreme environments on the planet. Temperatures can drop to minus 30 degrees Celsius, winds can exceed 100 kilometers per hour, and waves are as high as moving walls. The deck is slippery as ice. Every step is a gamble with fate. Fishermen work 20 hours a day, pulling cages weighing more than 984 feet from hundreds of meters below the surface with their bare hands on icy steel wires. They have only a few minutes to check their catch, sort the crabs, and then lower the cages before ice forms on the deck. In that time, their skin cracks, their sweat freezes, and their breath turns to white smoke. One small mistake, a slip, a tangle in the rope, a wave overtopping, can send a person reeling in forever. And in these waters, there are no second chances. In the middle of winter, the average response time for rescuers is more than 90 minutes, far too long for a body to fall into sub-zero water. Many fishermen say bluntly, if you fall overboard, you're done. But despite the danger, they still go out to sea, because without crab season, they would have nothing. A captain once said, "This is not just a job, this is a skill." The ocean gives us life, but also tests us to see if we are worthy. On deck, everything moves like a machine programmed by experience and trust. Some pull ropes, some lift cages, some weigh and pack crates. Each time a batch of cages comes to the surface, it is a tense moment. Will there be enough crabs? Will they be the right size? If not, they must release them all back into the sea, knowing that winter is only a few weeks away. Snow crabs cannot be farmed. Every crab that gets on board comes from the wild, and that makes it a giant gamble between humans and the ocean. The footage from Deadliest Catch only shows viewers a small part of reality. In real life, things are much more intense. When a blizzard hits, waves break cabin windows, ice covers the masts, and the entire ship becomes a moving iceberg. The captain must constantly break the ice to keep the ship balanced, otherwise the ship can capsize in just a few minutes. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, crab fishing in Alaska is among the top 5 most dangerous occupations in the United States. The fatality rate is 40 times higher than the average for other occupations. But it is in such dire circumstances that people show the most resilience and solidarity. When one ship was in trouble, another turned back even at the cost of a season. When the ice was too thick, they worked together to break the deck to keep the ship afloat. And when they returned to port, even with only a few crates of crab, they raised their glasses and toasted to the fact that they were all alive. In the world of snow crabs, every voyage is a story of survival, a battle between man and nature, between courage and the fragility of life. Little did they know that just a few years later, these ships would lie idle in port, not because people had given up, but because the sea had nothing left to catch. While Alaskan fishermen battle the stormy waters of the Bering Sea across the ocean in the Russian Far East, another snow crab superpower is quietly rising. The Kamchatka Peninsula, where volcanoes are covered in snow all year round, is the center of the Russian crab fishing industry. Here, giant steel ships, nearly 100 meters long, equipped with modern equipment, no less than the Alaskan. They leave the port of Petropavlovsk, cross the Sea of Okhotsk, and enter the deep waters where snow crabs are densely concentrated. While Alaska is known for its strict regulations and catch limits to protect the ecosystem, Russia has chosen a different path: maximizing exploitation. With a huge resource stretching thousands of miles of coastline, Russia has quickly become the world's largest supplier of snow crab, accounting for nearly 40% of global production. Since 2015, the Russian seafood industry has been heavily modernized. The government has funded new shipbuilding projects, large-scale cold storage facilities, and processing plants right at the ports. Crabs are processed, frozen, packaged, and shipped within hours of being caught. Every year, tens of thousands of tons of Russian snow crab are exported to Japan, South Korea, Europe, and especially the United States, the largest consumer market. At the ports of Vladivostok and Murmansk, line after line of refrigerated containers wait for cargo ships bound for the United States. The journey takes more than 10 days across the Pacific Ocean before docking and being distributed to cold storage facilities on the West Coast. Each container holds about 40 tons of crab, worth nearly $500,000. Everything was running smoothly, like a perfectly functioning machine, until early 2022. When the first shots rang out in Ukraine, the world entered a period of unprecedented change. And among the long list of industries affected by that war, few would have guessed that the snow crab industry, seemingly far from politics, would be one of the most direct victims. In March 2022, the United States imposed a ban on seafood imports from Russia in response to the military campaign in Ukraine. The ban took effect immediately. Hundreds of containers of Russian snow crab en route to the United States were forced to turn back. American importers, who depended on Russia for up to 40% of their supplies, were thrown into crisis. At the port of Seattle, millions of dollars worth of cargo were stuck in customs. Meanwhile, in Kamchatka, cold storage was packed with cargo, and ships were unable to sail because there was no room left. A system that had been running smoothly for decades suddenly came to a screeching halt, like a machine whose brakes had been pulled midway. On the surface, this is a political decision, but in reality, it has shaken up the entire global snow crab supply chain. From Alaskan fishermen to American traders to Russian exporters, everyone is caught in a vortex they have no control over. It was the turning point that caused the seemingly most resilient industry in the Arctic to begin to crack from within. In Russia, cold storage facilities in Kamchatka and Vladivostok are packed with cargo, and ships have stopped sailing because there is no more room. More than 10,000 tons of snow crab are stranded, while thousands of Alaskan workers are out of work due to a lack of raw materials. American consumers are paying high prices, and fishermen are caught between global politics and climate change. Russia quickly shifted its exports to Asia, China, Japan, South Korea, forcing the U.S. to lose control of the market. Meanwhile, the U.S. was forced to import crab from Canada and Norway at higher costs. In just 1 year, $900 million worth of snow crab disappeared, marking the unofficial collapse of the North American market. But the economic shock was just the beginning. As politics disrupted supply chains, undersea climate change silently pushed the snow crab to the brink of extinction. Two waves, one man-made, one natural, came together to create the biggest disaster in the history of the snow crab industry. The Bering Sea is slowly freezing over again. Under the thin ice, schools of baby snow crabs are appearing, a few, but enough to spark hope. After 2 years of silence, Alaskan fishermen are releasing the first cage into the sea. No one knows what's inside, but the hope remains. The story of the snow crab is not just about a species disappearing. It is a reminder that nature does not listen to commands, only to balance. When humans listen and slow down, the sea will tell us its next chapter. If you also believe that the ocean still has something to tell, subscribe to the channel to follow me on the journey of the ocean's revival.